Sweetie, and now I will formally introduce our today's sharing master. And first, I want to ask you two questions. Do you want to be a leader, or do you want to speak like a great leader? Today, our sharing master, Ronaldo Huang, current Region 14 Advisor, DTM, will bring you to a short workshop on how to speak like a CEO. She will share you with framework and techniques on leadership speech delivery, so you will be more skillful in communication with your audience and become a persuasive and influential leader. So let's welcome our sharing master, Ronaldo.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Raise your hand if you have ever had a great boss. No. Chances are, if you have a great boss, that boss must know how to communicate well. Because great leaders who communicate well will have a big advantage over those who only have experiences or technical skills. Because experiences and the technical skills are assumed to those who rise to the top. People who know community well, they are succeed because they can articulate their vision and share their wisdom and motivate to actions. So we want to speak like a CEO, even though we are not a CEO yet. If we can master those skills, imagine, we can actually share our knowledge more excitedly and efficiently, and we can also persuade our team members to do something they may not want to do, and we can strengthen the relationship with our team members. In fact, there are a lot of opportunities here in Toastmasters where we can actually speak like a CEO. For example, when you are the club president, when you speak on the stage, you speak like a CEO. If you are area director, division director, or even the district director, when you speak on the stage, you speak like a CEO. But speaking like a CEO is not easy. It takes practice and preparation. So today I'm going to share with you some skills and a framework how to manage those skills. So ultimately you will have the confidence and the competence to speak like a great leader. Now, first thing is that for any speech, before we deliver it, the first step is that we got to prepare it and we got to lay a foundation for our speech. We got to know what we are going to say. So there are actually three elements in order for us to prepare and lay a solid foundation for our speech. The first one is this, relevance. For any speakers, before we deliver our speech, it's very, very important to know what is in it for our audience. Because one of the main reasons a leader fails to deliver the message to audiences because they don't care. Because they think, well, what's the matter? What's wrong with it? And what's the matter with your topic? I don't care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So you have to know why I deliver this message, my topic, my speech, and what impact they will receive. They will be impacted by this topic. So ask this question, what's relevant for me, is the first step to lay the foundation. And the second element we need to consider is this, outcome. Whenever we deliver a speech, there is some outcome or results that we think we need to achieve at the end of our speech. Either the outcome is that the audience receives some important message or knowledge after I deliver this speech, or I want our audience to make some important change. They are either persuaded or inspired by my message. Their behavior may be changed, their attitude may be changed. What kind of outcome I want to achieve after my speech? So this thing is very, very important for us to make it clear before we when we are preparing our message, preparing our speech. That's the second thing, outcome. And the third thing is this. For every leader's speech, there have to be some concept or message. It's very, very important because a leader, whenever we are trying to deliver our speech, there is a message or important concept we want to let the audience know. This is always something included in a leader's speech. So the three elements of the foundation, the relevance, the outcome, and the concept will lay a rock solid foundation for our speech. So ROC, rock solid, is the foundation we want to know and make it very, very clear. So that's the first step. Lay the foundation before we actually deliver our speech. There are a lot of situations where a leader will need to deliver a speech. For example, you may give a briefing. You would want to share some important news to your team members. Or sometimes you are required to deliver a bad news. Or you want to persuade or inspire team members to make some important change. But in general, there are two types of speech that a leader needs to deliver. They are either to inform, give the information, or to persuade and inspire. So these are the two types of speech that a leader will always require to do. There are two different requirements or structures when we prepare these two different types of speech. So let's take a look of how we actually can organize our speech based on the different types of speech we are going to deliver. So first of all is the informative speech, which means a leader wants to share something important. So there are certain steps in the informative speech a leader needs to deliver. So first of all is the introduction. When we try to deliver an informative speech, the first one is we make a statement on what we are going to say. We are going to speak in our next message. So just speak it directly in a straightforward way. So for example, a club leader or president want to make an important announcement on the club business. So what I'm going to do, the first sentence is that we can simply say that today I have important news to tell you, share with you, which may impact your experience in our club. That's what I'm going to say. The first sentence is just to make an announcement, the first statement, what I'm going to say. And next is you support all the materials, the points, support your points, what I'm going to just deliver. So today, for example, if I'm going to make an announcement, which is our club will change to a new venue. So this is the announcement. Why we come to this decision? So I will tell you how we actually come to this decision because, well, what happened is that recently the club venue is so crowded. Our room is so small, and we have more and more guests come into our club. Our current room cannot accommodate as many guests as we really want to. So we want to find a new venue which is big enough that can support our club's future membership growth. So that's the rationale. That's something I want to share with our members. That's the facts, okay? And also we can share that, well, our club officers team had to make a decision or discussion on different choices and options. We look at different venues and versus the cost, the transportation, and finally we made this decision. So tell your audiences how we actually reached the decision we have. So give them the factual support, let them know why we have this decision. So that's the second step. The final step or the third step is conclusion. Just to recap what you said to the audience. Now we're going to change our venue, starting from which date? That's the third step. But when you finish this step, usually what happens is that when we give this informative or important notice to our members, someone will have question. There's something on their mind. They may be confused. They may want to explore more. So usually we will have a Q&A session after the informative speech. So how to handle this Q&A session is also very critical for a leader to deliver your message well. I may have a separate session on how we can actually handle the Q&A session very efficiently at a separate session. But today I just want to share with you one point, how we actually can handle the Q&A session as a leader. The one success point that any leader handle the Q&A session well is that you've got to expect what is going to be answered. Because you know your material, you know your content, you expect what the audience may ask. So for example, the club wants to change a meeting venue. So what usually the members will ask, they may ask, what will the new venue, the cost of the new venue? Will it increase my membership fee? Is it convenient? Which subway line will go to that venue? Something like that. So you got to be prepared for all the possible answers, that the questions that the audience have, and maybe they will be reluctant or resistant to the decision. So that's very, very critical in the Q&A session. If you prepare your answers to the possible potential question well, maybe you can diffuse their doubts and you can help you to get your message across. So the Q&A session is also very, very critical for a leader to deliver the speech. Of course, after the Q&A session, don't end your speech. The suggestion is, as a leader, never end your speech after the Q&A. You cannot just say, well, I've answered all the questions, that's it. No, you don't do that. You don't want to end your speech right after the Q&A session. What you are going to do is, after Q&A session, give some dessert to them, reinforce the message, add something on what your previous talking points. So for example, after the Q&A session, you can just say that, well, no matter what kind of decision we've made, what's on our mind is that we really want to make sure that each and every single member in our club receive the highest quality of your experiences. So I think this decision will definitely support the goal of our club, and I hope that everyone will support this decision. So add something, reinforce the message after the Q&A session is very, very important. So that's the steps or structure for you to deliver an informative speech. Now, let's take a look at the second type of speech, which is the persuasive and informative speech. There are also certain ways you can prepare your speech. So there are 4 steps actually for you to prepare your persuasive or inspirational speech. The first step is to draw the attention to your audience. Why is this subject matter relevant to them? Why it's important? Draw their attention to the topic because you want to inspire and persuade them. But if they don't have the attention to this topic, it's very hard for you to persuade and influence them. So for example, I remember a couple of years ago when our district just implemented the new Toastmaster education program, which is Pathways. So in a lot of we have a couple of Pathways ambassadors. They were going to deliver this kind of persuasive speech for the members to adopt our new education system. So in their speech, the first sentence is that they draw the attention. What is one good technique to draw attention to the audience is that you ask a question. You ask a an interesting question. So what that we did is that we asked our audiences when we deliver this speech is that we were asked, do you know what's the current education system? So all the audience, they replied that, well, it's CC or CL. But then we asked another question, do you know how long had this CC and the CL program been existed? Well, they have different answers. Someone said, well, 10 years, 20 years. In fact, we give them the right answer, which was that the CCCL has been in Toastmasters for almost 40 years. Okay, started right in the 1970s, like that. So imagine, this society, this world has changed so fast. With this education system that has been with us for almost 40 years, we need some change, right? Because the learning habits of our members have changed. We have more and more younger members join our Toastmasters. The habits have been changed. Usually we prefer to read the paper manual, but more and more people are just learn something online. So we need a brand new system to really adapt to the change of the people's learning needs. So you ask the question and draw people's attention to your topic. So that's the first step, draw people's attention. And second is interest, create interest. We know that every leader in your speech, you want to articulate your vision, you want to give some new concepts. But sometimes, one of the reasons people are not well received for a leader's message or concept is because sometimes it's too boring, it's too dry, it's without content. So what we need to do is we got to generate interest by giving some examples, something that are be similar to this concept but happen in our daily life. We share those metaphors, examples, or we telling stories, our personal stories, and we create empathy. We let our audience know that we are on the same page with you. So I will tell in detail on how to generate interest later. So telling stories and creating metaphors are two important methods that you can generate interest from your audience. Of course, you can use your body language, your gestures to create this more interest from your audience. So that's step 2. And step 3 is this. So people got to make decision. Why? They got to take your points, they want to make some change. And we know that in psychology, people make decisions sometimes not by their left brain, which is the logical part, but instead they make decisions by their right brain, which is more like the emotional part that at work on your right brain. So in order to make people to make decisions, sometimes it's more effective to appeal to their emotion instead of their logical, the rational part of it. Again, you use your story, your gestures, your body language, your voice to appeal them emotionally so they will be persuaded or inspired to make a decision. So finally, this step is we want to call to action. We remind them now, this is what I'm going to share with you, and I appeal everyone you take actions to make some change. So that's the 4 steps to deliver in persuasive or inspirational speech. We call it AIDA. The AIDA step is how you actually can prepare your persuasive and inspirational speech. Now, I just mentioned the techniques to generate interest. This is how I'm going to share with you how actually we can generate interest. Metaphor, analogy. So look at these 2 pictures. What do you see? On the left is a tree, yes, a wood or a park, right? And on the right, the picture on the right is a swamp, right? So what's the difference between these two pictures? What I'm going to elaborate by showing you these two pictures. So in the 2023 International Convention, Toastmasters International Convention, our CEO really used this metaphor to illustrate his points of the difference between the management and leadership. So he said that the management is almost like a park. So in the park, you can see that, well, it's shiny, it's clean, it's more established. You have a certain path. Sometimes you even have a map that you know where you are going to do. You will not get lost. But the leadership is, on the other hand, well, it's dirty. It's a lot of uncertainty. It's risky. And sometimes you need to get into the dirty water. But anyhow, you want to become an effective leader, you got to embrace the swamp. Sometimes you got to get wetty. You got to be dirty. That is something that's the difference between a leader and a manager. So he used the concept, the easy metaphors between a park and a swamp to illustrate the differences, the pros and the cons, and the challenges between a manager and a leader. So we are well understood, well received of this concept. I think this is one technique for us to prepare any complex concept. We can use this kind of metaphor or examples in our daily life to just share, to explain our complex concept to the audience so it's easier for them to understand it. And the second technique, of course, is storytelling. We all know story plays an important role in our speech. So as a CEO, we need to master the skill of telling a story. So whenever we want to inspire someone, we tell a story either of someone else, or quite most often, it's the story of ourselves. So what happened when I was at that similar situation? What kind of impact on me? So I made some change. In fact, there is one technique that for everyone, for you to prepare any speech, it's a structure very easy to master or grasp. It's called the story spine. So if you master this simple technique, you can actually to draft any story that you can find relevant of your personal experiences. You can use your personal experiences, draft a story, and link to the message that you are going to deliver to the audience. So what does the story spine look like? It's something like this. So once upon a time, you lay out the background, and every day I was blah, 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 blah. But one day, some change. And because of that, I was shocked. There is some I would say, setback happened to me, or some failure. There's some lessons that I didn't expect, okay? I received some failure. And then, ever since that day, I made a reflection. I draw lessons, and then I realized, wow, that's something I knew from that experience or situation incidents. And the moral of the story is, the message is this. So this simple technique can help you to prepare your personal story. So for example, I was trying to deliver a message on the leadership style. So everyone should have your leadership style that are adapt to different situations. So I prepared my personal story to try to deliver my message. So what I said was that, so once upon a time, my leadership style is, I always believe that the most effective leadership style is someone who really promotes democracy. I want everyone to participate in the discussion, and I want everyone buy-in, get the buy-in of everyone. So I really care about the relationship with each and a single team member. Sometimes I would take a longer time to receive the buy-in for everyone because I think that's the most important leadership style. Until one day, I finished my meeting with my team member, and one team member came to me and said, Ronaldo, you know what? I felt completely confused and a little bit angry after our meeting because in that meeting that just completed, you spent too much time on explaining to our team member who are just new to our team. They didn't know anything about the company's background. They didn't know anything about what exactly our clients require. So you spend so much time on tell them why. I think it's more efficient. You just tell them straight away what they are supposed to do, and it's more efficient. Wow, after that experience, I suddenly realized that it's a shock to me. It's a surprise. I never thought that way. I always thought that the democratic way leadership style is the most efficient, but now I realize sometimes because the difference of people, your team member, sometimes you got to use a different kind of leadership style. Maybe you get just to be more authoritarian or more direct. So ever since that day, I realized that there is no one-size-fits-all approach. There's no single most effective leadership style. What I need to do is that I need to adapt myself based on the difference of your team member, based on the difference of their attitude, based on the difference of their technical skills. So that's something I learned. So I use the personal story to share with the members and get my message across. So that's the second technique as a leader to tell a story. The story spine is something we can use. Now finally, we talk about the structure and the content technique. We know that delivery also is very important in every single speech. But a leader delivers story is a little bit different when we are participating into the speech contest. It's a little bit different. So what are the styles of delivery that we got to pay attention to when we deliver a leadership style speech? Now, there are certain aspects that we need to take consideration. First is authentic. Be authentic. Be authentic means that just when you are speaking, just be the people who you are in your normal life. You speak the same pace, the voice, and you even wear the same type of clothes when you wear. It's fine that you wear the jacket, or it's fine that you wear a t-shirt. Because what's important that people will not only listen to what you say on the stage, they will also observe what you do off the stage. If your behavior is rather completely different, then you lose the trust from the team member. They will think that, wow, this person looks completely different, and I don't believe what he's going to say. So being authentic means be truly who you are, and you use your authentic voice and gesture. And the second thing is that be passionate. I'm not saying that you use a dramatic gestures to be like play a drama. What I mean is that when you really believe in something as a leader, your message, use your gesture, use your eye contact, and people will see that you really believe in what you are talking about. They will feel the passion in you. So when you truly believe in something, use your whole body to support it. They will feel your passion, and they will be persuaded, inspired by you. And third thing is positive. Always use a positive language in your speech. We know there are a lot of challenges or even failures. As a leader, we never avoid it, but we find some opportunities from the challenges in order to motivate people. So for example, in the CEO report, the Toastmasters CEO report, in the board director's briefing, the CEO, he mentioned that there are some, we know that everyone knows that over the last 3 years, because of the pandemic, there are some challenges faced by Toastmasters. We lost almost 1/4 of the membership, and the club are losses. These are the facts, okay? But instead of just talking about those negative things, the CEO finds something positive in those facts. He said that, well, although we still in a downward cycle, but you can actually see that the rates of decline actually have been slowed down. And I believe that this year we are really already in the bottom of this downcline cycle, and we definitely believe that starting from next year, there will be a big turnaround. So he finds something in the negative and turn it into a positive message. So for a leader, always find something positive from the negative is a very important strategy in your speech. And last but not least is use humor in your speech, because humor is sometimes the best way to diffuse the tension and the resistance. Okay, a leader not necessarily always be very serious. Sometimes use a little bit humor can play an important role in just to diffuse a lot of resistance in the audience. So again, in the CEO's report, I remember what he said, that we know that a lot of people are complaining about the system issues the Toastmasters have. But instead of, he used a joke, said that, well, I will make a deal with all of you. If you don't ask questions, if you don't complain on the system, then I will not push you on your district distinguished DCP performance. So it's a very clear joke that he made, make a deal that, so he used this technique, humor, to actually to diffuse a lot of complaints and resistance. So use humor is also an important way for us to deliver a message, okay? So let's do a recap. What I'm just shared in my previous sharing is that how to prepare a speech, lay the rock solid foundation. There are 3 elements that we are going to look into it. And there are 2 types of speech that a leader always required to do. And what are the techniques that we can use and the steps to prepare and deliver these 2 types of speech. And the 3 is, what are the styles a leader can use? Now, I want to stop here and open some questions to you. Do you have any questions? Because of time, maybe we only have time for one question. You never thought to be a CEO yet? Someone will ask, because I mentioned the Q&A session, someone will ask that, well, what happens if the audience keep asking a difficult question to the audience, to you, and how do you actually respond to someone keep asking this question? So my suggestion is that if you have ever the luck, the fortune to receive someone who are very persistent, asking difficult questions, first of all, you should thank for him or her, because that shows that audience really care. If people don't care, they will not ask questions. They will just leave. Okay? If some people who just ask questions, it means they care, which is good. But sometimes when you receive the difficult question, you can give the answer something that you already prepared. If they are not satisfied with your explanation, a simple way is that you just repeat your previous answer and add more factual specifics. Let them be satisfied. Okay? Just repeat your question, but add something more details in your answer. If they are still not satisfied, okay, last resort is that you can politely say to them that let's take it offline. Okay, let's take it offline because you never want to debate with someone openly. Okay, you take it offline, and sometimes it's more comfortable for someone to give you more details. What's really on their mind? What are the real challenges when you speak privately instead of openly? So by taking the difficult question offline is also a technique for you to handle difficult questions. Okay, so because of time, I will end my session by this one. So every time you are required, no matter it's prepared, required, or it's just impromptu speech, always remember that every speaking opportunity is just the perfect opportunity for you to practice your leadership skills. Because in Toastmasters, we practice communication and the leadership skills, and they goes hand in hand. So with all that, I will conclude my session today, and thank you all for your time and attention. Thank you.